What's going on, you guys? It's the Michael Myers. Welcome back to a brand new video. Today, gonna be giving you guys my top 10 favorite horror movies from the 1980s. So yeah, it was actually kind of hard to put this list together because a lot of my personal favorite films come from this great decade of horror. So it was kind of hard for me to just pick out 10 films. I tried my best, and we're gonna get straight into it. Like always, you guys can leave your list in the comments down below. So yeah, number 10 on my list, I got a movie from 1988, and that is the original Child's Play. Now, I actually threw this film on here last minute. It wasn't originally on my list. The reason I had to throw it on here, because this was the very first film that actually scared me as a kid. The only film that actually scared me as a kid. I remember seeing bits and pieces of the original on TV, and I would just be terrified, man. Of course, the original is more of the darker Chucky movie compared to the rest of the movies, but I think this is still the best one. This is the Steelbook, comes with the iconic original movie poster. Just creepy, man. Chucky looks the best in this one, and it's just more effective, in my opinion. Had to throw it on here, the original Child's Play. Number 9 on my list, The Changeling. Quite an underrated movie. I don't really hear too much people bringing it up. It does star George C. Scott, which he was in The Exorcist 3. It's actually one of the best parts of The Exorcist 3. And in The Changeling, he does take the lead, and he does a great job. You guys know me. I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to haunted house, ghost movies. But this was definitely, I will say, ahead of its time. There wasn't really much. Of course, in the 80s, this is 1980, we were getting into the slasher genre. And this stuff wasn't as popular as it is now. A big fan of, these kind of movies. But I will say, this is probably the best one from the bunch. It's just so eerie. The tone of the movie, kind of creepy. Definitely recommend checking this one out. Kind of a slow burn. But like I said, man, I think George C. Scott carries on the movie really well. You really don't see much. And I just think that's what makes it creepier. So, The Changeling, definitely recommend this one. Next on the list, we got David Cronenberg's The Fly. Now, I feel like this is one of those remakes that kind of outshined the original. Don't get me wrong, the original, great film. I think I like this one a little better than the original. Probably the only remake I actually like better than the original. It's actually one of those films I came across on accident. I remember on a late night. I ended up staying late. This was playing on AMC Fear Fest, and I started watching a little bit of it, and I just stayed stuck onto the TV till the end. Just the whole practical effects. Really good. One of my favorite remakes of all time. Definitely one of the better, body horror, sci-fi kind of movies. Always a go-to, man. I love The Fly. Fantastic remake. Next on the list, we got another Tom Holland film, Fright Night. Everything about this movie, man, just screams 80s. The music, the tone. We got Chris Sarandon. He plays one of the main vampire. Of course, he's in the original Child's Play. Great film, dude. This is another one where it really, a lot of these practical effects, makeup effects on some of the vampires, like especially like the Ed character, which was a standout, man. Even, the girl, I forget her name. It really, really stands the test of time, man. Like, I'm not a big fan of vampire movies as well. I think a lot of these do get played out, but this is definitely my favorite. We got some good ones for sure, Lost Boys, but this is the one for me. Even the soundtrack, dude, I just love the soundtrack. I own a copy of the soundtrack. Love it. And of course, the iconic movie poster. This is a great example of an 80s horror film. So yeah, man, Fright Night. All right, next on the list, we got another game changer, An American Werewolf in London. Again, when it comes to werewolf movies, a lot of them could be watered down nowadays, but this is still the best one, in my opinion. Quite a, dark and creepy movie. I know nowadays a lot of people like to look at it kind of like a horror comedy thing, but I could only imagine, man, back in the 80s when this was released. I bet it was quite terrifying. We got our leads. We got Jack. We got David Kessler. We got a great cast here, man. This was a game changer when it comes to, practical effects. One of the most iconic transformation scenes of all time, man. Of course, the legendary Rick Baker. Man, And I know a lot of movies after this kind of try to duplicate that transformation scene, but it just never really worked like it worked in An American Werewolf in London. And I will say this is probably the best design of a werewolf. We get the four-leg hound from hell. And I love how you don't really see the werewolf throughout the movie. You see him and you see little glimpses of him here and there. Of course, at the end. Great kills, dude. Probably the best werewolf design in cinema history, if you ask me. Really well-directed shot movie. Love this movie. All right, now we get down to my top 5. Number 5, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, one of the most iconic horror films of all time. This is another one I remember seeing bits and pieces on TV as a kid. A lot of these scenes really stuck onto me. Of course, man, Stanley Kubrick, the genius in him, you know, a lot of great films under his belt, but this one, man, one of the best. And I just love movies like these that really, you could still watch them today, and each time you watch them, you get something new out of it. You see something new. And I just think that really shows the genius in Stanley Kubrick's style. Of course, this is based on Stephen King's novel, which, you know, in his opinion, Stanley Kubrick butchered it because Stephen King's novel was a whole take and Stanley Kubrick just took it and did his own thing with it, which you got to respect, dude. He added his own twist and it became one of the most iconic films of all time, man. So Jack Nicholson, iconic, man. It doesn't get more iconic than this. All right, number 4 on the list, Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street, one of the best. What else can I say about this? It's always the original entries, man, that really, I think the character are the best. Like, there's another one, man, where Freddy, you don't really, like, he's not the jokester he later became, you know. I like how you don't really see Freddy as much. You see him through the shadows in the boiling room. Little glimpses here and there. He's not cracking jokes every minute or so. Classic stuff here, man. Robert Englund, of course, carries on the role. Always a fun movie to rewatch every now and then. So, Nightmare on Elm Street, of course, that's a given. Next on the list, Clive Barker's Hellraiser. Yes, Hellraiser has actually surpassed Nightmare on Elm Street for me personally. I've always loved Hellraiser, man. Back in February, I was actually able to watch this movie on the big screen. I think it came back to theaters for like 2 nights. For the first time on 4K, it just looked beautiful, man. It looked amazing on the big screen. Clive Barker, man, another horror genius. I remember as a kid thinking, you know, and I know a lot of us probably thought this, like from the outside looking in, we were kind of expecting Hellraiser to be another fun franchise, kind of like Nightmare, Halloween, Friday. But it's kind of the opposite. I will say Hellraiser is more of like your mature kind of slasher movie. It's not just a gimmicky movie. Like, it's actually has some real themes in it. Like I said, drama, you know, the affair with Frank and then Julia. I think that's what really made it different from the rest of the franchises. Even though you don't really see the Cenobites as much, and I know the series went downhill, I still love this movie, man. And Ashley Lawrence as Christy, man, she's probably my favorite final girl. At this point, she's definitely one of my favorites. But Clive Barker's Hellraiser, love it, man, for sure. Number 2 on the list, the original Creepshow. Of course, this was a collaboration with Stephen King, George A. Romero. This is a perfect example of a Halloween movie. This is a movie you gotta watch every Halloween because everything about it, man, the vibes, the opening credits, dude. I remember being terrified of, you know, the opening credits as a kid. You know, the whole animated comic style, kind of ahead of its time as well, man. The most fun you'll ever have being scared. Classic poster. This cover always creeped me out as a kid. And I just love the different stories, man. Like, each of them are memorable. This is one of those I saw as a kid. So this movie terrified me, dude. I remember waking up in the middle of the night as a kid, being scared and having certain of these scenes in my mind. You know, of course, one of my favorites is when he buries the guy under the sand. The Father's Day, the Stephen King, one of the best, you know. Stephen King actually had a little role in here. Love this stuff, man. Like I said, this is a perfect horror Halloween movie to me. Love it. It's definitely grown on to be one of my favorites. All right, and my favorite horror movie from the 1980s, and it's honestly one of my favorite horror movies in general, The Hitcher. The Hitcher, kind of underrated, man. I really wish people would really talk about The Hitcher a little more. It's just so unique. I know they did a sequel, but the original is where it's at, dude. It's one of those, simple kind of movies, but it's really effective, dude. Like, it really feels like something that actually happened, down the street from you. And I just love these kinds of movies. The score, love it, man. You got, Jennifer Jason Leigh. She really did a great job. Also, John Ryder plays just a great horror villain, man. And like I said, I really wish John Ryder really was mentioned a little more. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Heath Ledger, he grabbed some inspiration from John Ryder for his Joker role in The Dark Knight. You could definitely tell because, in my opinion, I think he's one of the best horror villains we've gotten in horror cinema. Of course, Rutger Hauer, rest in peace, played the hell out of that role, man. One of the best actors for sure. I recommend you guys watching there's like a little documentary on this film, kind of the making of it. Love it, dude. It's a film I'll never get bored of. Always rewatching. So, yeah, man. Had to be my number one. I think they recently came out with the Blu-ray. I'm not sure if it's like a real release, but I definitely got to upgrade it to a Blu-ray, man. This is still, the old school Snapcase DVD. Got to get a Blu-ray for this. That was my top 10 favorite horror movies from the 1980s. Kind of hard, out of all of the great films of horror. Like I said, I think in the 80s was the prime for horror movies. Definitely let me know what you guys think about this list. Leave your list in the comments down below. Definitely would like to check that out. Stay tuned for more videos. My next top 10 video will be horror movies from the 90s. Can't wait to get into that, man. So stay tuned. Make sure you guys drop a like, drop a comment. It's the Michael Myers signing out.